Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors unto the elders and apostles, a great millstone. Salutation to you, Archeums, pushing this word in sincerity and truth. This is your brother Yassad, back at you with another lesson. We'll learn to define to the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai. So this lesson here will be going into the Lord had given Esau a taste of his own medicine, right? Because I'll be going into two accounts, right? Where Edomites had been given a taste of their own medicine, you know. So the first account I'll be going into is with Antiochus Epiphanes, the fourth, right? And then I'll go into the account with Haman, you know. And they both were Edomite, and they display such hatred towards the Israelite, wanting to cut off the Israelite, kill off the, you know, kill off the Israelites. Some of them they kill off the Israelites, you know. But Yahweh Shem rendered recompense unto them, a taste of their own medicine. So let's, without further ado, let's go into it. So the book of 1 Maccabees 1 and 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 130 and 70th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. Right, so scholars actually did, you know, well, in secular history, it spoke of how Antiochus Epiphanes was in prison, and he it go on to tell you, right, chewy flattering words, right. It's in those days, right. So it's say he was a hostage at Rome, right, and he ended up he was in prison, and he called for, I believe it was his nephew, right, to take in place of him, right, and he reigned in his stead. So it go on to say, in those days when they're out, yeah. Right, so like, yeah, about that. Well, let me jump down to about verses 20. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 140 and 30 year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude, right? Because Antiochus was I believe he was reigning over Syria, right? And he went and fight against Ptolemy, right? And he had dominion, right? That he might have dominion over the two realms, right? And Ptolemy was afraid and fled, right? So they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. So he won the war. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 140 and 30 and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude. So after that, you know, when he went into Egypt and fight against Ptolemy, and Ptolemy fled, he came up against the Lord's anointed, right, and entered proudly into the sanctuary and took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light and all the vessels thereof, and the table of the shewbread, right, and the pouring vessels and the vials and the censers of gold, and the veil and the crown and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off. He took also the silver and the gold and precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having a great massacre, and spoken very proudly. Therefore there was a great mourning in Israel, in every place where they were, because Antiochus was pursuing after them and killing them, just as majority of you Edomites, because the scripture in Ezekiel, I'll bring it out, speak of it. You all have a perpetual hatred against Jake. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 35 and verses 5. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. You know, because this here is where you Edomites do. You all have a perpetual hatred against Jake, right? And your way, how you live, is by the sword, pursuing to the blessing, because it was having that spirit straight in the time of Jacob and Esau, when the time of mourning for your father, you went to pursue your brother, and I'll bring that out. But first let me get just a moment. The blessing, which is you exercise your blessing a lot, Esau. Genesis 27:34. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, bless me, even me also, O my father, right? O my father. And he said, thy brother came with subtlety, and have taken away thy blessing. And it was what? That was predestined to happen, right? And he said, is not he rightly Jacob? Is not he rightly named Jacob? For he had supplanted me these 2 times, as he took away my birthright, and behold, now he had taken away my blessing. And he said, hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and with wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? Yeah, because even now, in this time, Esau Edom, look, the big brother Yerushalayim did that video. These Edomites looking to pay reparation unto Jake, but that little amount of money can repay Jake for their sufferings and the slaughter and the theft of their goods, their gold, the silver, the treasures, all these things, stealing away our identity, our, all these things that they took away from us for years, and had us in slavery, working for them freely. That amount of money cannot pay. That cannot that is no reparation unto us. Even now they still have us in slavery, in their hand, because it's a mental toll, because they govern, they own the world. So when we go to their schools, we come now to work at their plantations, their companies, their factories, their groceries, and it's just that, just for dollars, paper money that has no value, but right, I'll jump down to verse 37. I'll continue. And Isaac answered and said unto him, right, Salah, verses 38. And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me, also my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of the heaven from above. And by thy sword, and this is the point, by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off his neck. Right? So basically, that to show you Esau Edom blessing is being the sword. When he came up against Egypt, against Ptolemy with a great army, and as the scripture say, Egypt against Egypt, and that's how it just is, also, it going to say verse 41, and Esau hated Jacob, as again that same perpetual hatred from way back when. It's still in the spirit of these Edomites, even up to this day, because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father at hand, then will I slay my brother Jacob. And from thence on, these Edomites have been slaying Jake left, right, and center, and that's just to show you, right? You Edomites haven't cut out that. Right. So I'm gonna go back at the first Maccabees. First Maccabees 1 and right. Was that verse? It's all 20. Right, 20. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 140 and 30 and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude. Right, I read there verses 23. He took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken very proudly, because there was Jake amongst them as well, even in his homeland, Therefore there was a great mourning in Israel in every place they were. So the princes and elders mourned, the virgin and young men were made feeble, and the beauty of the woman was changed. Every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness. The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collectors of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude. So not only they defiled our sanctuaries, stole our gold, our treasures, our vessels, cut us off with mass slaughter, they also sent their tax collectors unto us, and spake peacefully and spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. As the scripture say, hey, the wicked is estranged from the womb, the good, the born speaking lies. That is Esau Edom, the devil, the deceiver. Right? That is how same way how he came back in, with the rebirth, the mass slaughter and his Christianity doctrine. Right? Through deceit. It's all about deceit with you Edomites. Right? It's all about deceit with you Edomites. That's why you are known as the devil in the Bible. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people of Israel. Come on. The precept speak of these things. Look at Psalms 50. Psalm 55 and 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter. Yes, so they come peacefully, explaining to them, well, you know, Antiochus is the king, and we expect X and X amount of tribute for towards the king XYZ, but war was in his heart. That was just a, a gimmick. That was just to trick them. And what they do, they brought mass slaughter onto them. But war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil. As it said, that came peaceably, just like how he came, and that was always a tactic from Esau Edom. Look at just as how he came onto the so-called Caribs and Arawaks, just like how we came onto the Gadites and Reuben, yet they were drawn swords. So the scriptures don't lie, the scriptures don't lie. Right? And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire, and pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side. Because the precept in Psalms speak of remember the children of Edom. Psalms 137 and 7. It says, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom, in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. Going back into the burning of the temple, right? The burning of the temple. They burned Jerusalem, right? Back at the first Maccabees 1. So this is really just going through quickly the atrocities that Haman did, and there's more. There's much more. But women and children took the captives and possessed the cattle. Then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall. Jump down to the 4, and they put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein, because they exalted and set up wicked Israelites, as it's saying, First Maccabees 1 and 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen, and that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So actually, they set up these wicked men that turn away from the laws of the Lord and consented unto the wickedness and to the profanity of the Edomite Antiochus. Right? Let me see if I get that in the GNT from Google. So bear with me just a moment. Right, in the GNT, First Maccabees 1 and 11. At that time there appeared in the land of Israel a group of traitorous Jews, so Israelites, who had no regard for the laws. They didn't have no respect towards the commandment, the constitution that Yahweh Shai gave unto the children of Israel, and who had a bad influence on many of the people, of our people. They said, let us come to the terms, let us be in agreement, with the Gentiles, for our refusal to associate with them has brought us nothing but trouble. Yeah. So they, when they was done with whatsoever the wicked Antiochus, decrease was about, And we know it was all opposite to Yahweh Hashem Shai, because they they are against Yahweh Hashem Shai, right? And against his laws, all these things. The scriptures speak and say he more vile than the earth. Right? Let's say, so this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were forward, hearing that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the custom of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. So these is what the thing these Israelites was doing. Alright, jumping down to verses 21. Alright. Let's just jump back to verse 35. They stored it also with armor and victuals, and when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there, and so they became a sore snare. For it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary, an evil adversary to Israel. Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary, again persecuting Israel, cutting them off, killing them off, side of the sanctuary, and defiled it, insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them. Yeah, because Israel was in great fear these Edomites, because you Edomites came back with a perpetual hatred towards us, and you executed that hatred, right? On many occasions, whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers, and became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her. Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning, her Sabbaths into reproach, her honor into contempt, and as had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning. Moreover, the king Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. Again, the same spirit that thing Nebuchadnezzar had, that all should be under one order, right? Only, and ye many of also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. For the king and sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festivals, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine flesh and unclean beasts. So you see the wickedness that had multiplied and increased when the so-called white man was in power. So far, so more for now, right? As it says, 2nd Ezra, there's a precept, right? Right. 2nd Ezra 14:16. It says, for yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. For look how much the world shall be weaker through age, so much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein. because evil in all wickedness, the things that they are do is has been perfected. Witchcraft has been perfected, being a ABC, H to the O to the M to the O, that is perfected in this time now, because the way how evil has been increased, right? Let's see. So, right, so hey, and you could read more on and on. You just see more and more evil they had done. Let's say, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to end that they might forget the law and change all the ordinances, who turn the truth of the Lord into a lie, you Edomites. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment to the king, he said he should die. So you see the decree that was passed out, right? So, and there's even more, right? Verse 57, jump down. And whosoever was found with any book of the testament, and if any committed to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the city. So you see how it was back then, real troublesome, right? Verse 59. Now the 25th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of the Most High Yahweh, at which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised, and they hanged the infants about their necks, and rifled their houses, and slew them that had circumcised them. Right, howbeit many in Israel were fully resolved and confirming themselves not to eat any unclean thing, wherefore the rather to die, and they might not defile with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died, and there was so great wrath upon Israel. So you see that wrath and wickedness these Edomites did unto Israel. But this going into, the Lord gave him a taste of his own medicine, because how did Antiochus Epiphanes die? Right? So let's say disease or medical condition, the Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes. Jewish sources gave credit for Antiochus' death to his earlier empathy at the Temple of Jerusalem. According to 2nd Maccabees, he died from divinely inflicted disease. But the all-seeing Lord, the Yahweh, power of Israel, struck him with an incurable and invisible blow, which was what? He gained a disease in his bowels, worms eating his insides, because where he loved to do was to interfere with little boys' bowels. So the Lord gave him a taste of his own medicine, and that is how he died, right? Because you don't know these Edomites, that's why they showing themselves. They having the world looking like how it is now, out of order, wicked, changing. Hey, you can't even speak too much about it, because they would strike you, talking about their wickedness. So I'm gonna get another account here with Haman, right? Because the scripture say that what a man sowed, that shall he reap. Galatians 6 and 9. So Haman, another Edomite, right? So in the book of Esther, chapter 3, and I'm gonna start at 4. Now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him, he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matter would stand, for he told them that he was a Jew. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath, and he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had shewed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai. So another Edomite showing forth his hatred towards towards you Israelites. You know? So let's go down, jump down into a bit further, into the event of this. So Esther 5. So Haman hated Mordecai and wanted to kill Mordecai and his people. Right, Esther chapter 5 and 11. It says, and Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. These Edomites proud always. The pride has deceived them. Haman said, moreover, ye Esther the queen, which was, I think, the niece of Mordecai, something to that effect, did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared but myself, and tomorrow am I invited unto her, also the king. Yet all that availeth me nothing, so as long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate. Then said Jeresh his wife, Haman's wife, and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet, and that thing pleased Haman. So Haman it gave him a joy to his heart, Yeah, that sounds like a great idea, because we know these Edomites, hate us to the core, to the bone, and he caused the gallows to be made. So he let them, he commanded that gallows be made for Mordecai to be put to death, right? And so, his family, the Jews, etc. So let's jump to chapter 6 and verses 4. And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman was coming to the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him. And the king's servant said unto him, behold, Haman standeth in the court. And the king said, let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor? Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delight to do honor more than to myself? And Haman answered the king, for the man whom the king delighted to honor, let the royal apparel be brought, which the king useth to wear, and the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown royal which is set upon his head. And let this apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man wherewith all whom the king delighted to honor, and bring him on horseback to the street of the city, and proclaim him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighted to honor. Right? Then the king said to Haman, make haste and take the apparel and the horse, and thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew. So you see, the Lord actually flip it. All the time Haman being proud in his position, that the king exalt him above his servants, and them around him that sitteth at the king's gate, let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken. And they then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on horseback to the street of the city, and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor. So you see where the Lord switched it there, right? Verse 7, chapter 7 and verses 9. And Habona, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, Behold, also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good of the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, Hang him thereon. And they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. So yeah, so Haman was given a taste of his own medicine by Yahweh Shemeshai, because he wanted to kill and hang Mordecai upon the gallows, but it turned around on him. Right? Esther chapter 8 and 7. Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther, the queen, and to Mordecai the Jew, Behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews. Write ye also for the Jews, and as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring. For the writing which is written in the king's name, and sealed with the king's ring, may no man reverse. All praises to Yahweh Hashem Yeshai for that. And hey, we know all things are gonna reverse upon you. Same way, likewise, these different events that took place, Esau, Edom, you're gonna pay. Right? The scripture in, I think, is Proverbs. Which speak of, he that diggeth a pit shall fall in it. Right? Proverbs 26:27. Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it shall return upon him. And that is how it's gonna go on, because your agenda that you pushing, to get rid of these jakes, make these jakes fall for your deceit again, hey, it's gonna return upon your own head. There's a Ecclesiastes 8, chapter 8, where it speak of 8 and 8. It said, there is no man that had power over the spirit to retain the spirit, neither hath he power in the day of death. So nobody had control to be able to stop the spirit from leaving this body when the time of death comes. And nobody had a power to stop death. And there is no discharge in the war, neither shall wickedness deliver those that are given to it. So just as how you give unto wickedness, you think by setting up your agenda, your order of KO would save you from your destruction. No, it wouldn't, because that pit you dig in, yourself gonna fall in it, Esau. Well, I hope this video was edifying. Again, double honors unto the elders and apostles at Great Millstone. Shalom to you, Archeums, pushing this word in sincerity and truth. Until the next one, Shalom.